continue our dialogue about our church theme and the focus on a village of faith, hope, and love, making a difference through Christ. Hey, Charlize. Amen to those of you who are on live stream. Good to see y'all tonight. I want to go back over a familiar story, but our word for the night is restoration. Our word for the night is restoration. All right. Hold on for a minute. All right. I want to revisit a story that many of you, no doubt, have heard at one time or another in your life. The teachings from Jesus in terms of parables. And so the point that I wanted to add tonight, good evening, is a village. And when I say village, I'm talking about a church or a body of baptized believers or the representation of the kingdom of God on earth. A village. Can you say village? A village without restoration is a valley of dry bones. It's a valley of deadness. Y'all with me? Our word for tonight is what? Restoration. And we are a village. Moffat's explanation of uses of the word village in this sense, he talks about us being a taste of heaven on earth. The church, the body of baptized believers, the fellowship of saints, and the coming together of saints without restoration is, as Paul would say, an empty trash can making noise. Now, Sunday we talked about Paul's writing where he said, I would that you would be transformed. I would that you would be what? And we talked about it from the point of be who you are from the inside out and not from the outside in. And so where I'm going with this is the ideal behind that is Paul says it's your reasonable service. Now, reasonable, Shirley, in that sense, he's saying if God created you a cow, he's going to ask you to act like what? A cow. And that's reasonable, ain't it? And if God created you a bird, he's going to ask you to act like that's reasonable. And so it's reasonable to expect a bird to fly. It's reasonable to expect a cow to chew. That's your reasonable. That's your reasonable service. So what's reasonable about being born again? Your worship. If it's on the inside, it's reasonable that it should come outside. So Jesus gave a parable, and we're in the Gospel of Luke chapter 15. And I wanted to look at it for just a few pointers I wanted to bring to us. In chapter 15, he deals with 3 levels of lostness, but I want to go to this last parable, the parable we call the prodigal son, in Luke chapter 15. And I'm sharing from the King James Version. You can follow along in the version of Scripture that you brought with you. A village without restoration is a valley of dry bones, deadness. And code words, or the ingredients for deadness, is that of what I would call a simulation without validation. A simulation without what? Oftentimes we are asked, or folk make demands upon us, or they accept us if we assimilate. If we what? Now, what does assimilate mean? If you're not a duck, but you want to hang around ducks, then we'll allow you to hang around us as long as you act like us. But that's a code word for deadness, because you're not going to validate the fact that I'm a dog and not a duck. Now, I can hang with the ducks, but don't overlook that I'm still a dog. Y'all with me? And so we have this parable that Jesus shared, and he said there was a certain man that had 2 sons. Now the younger son said to his father, "Give me the portion of goods that fall to me." And he divided unto them his living. It's verse 13 that drew my attention. It's a privilege to be a father. It's a privilege to have children. It's a privilege to have 2 sons. But the younger son said to his father, "I can't wait for you to die. I need mine now. I need mine now. So whatever you were going to give me when you die, give it to me now." His father gave to him according to as he asked. But in verse 13, it says not many days after, in other words, once he got his stuff, he journeyed into a far country. Now it was no crime to leave home. The crime occurred before he left home. There was no crime to leave home, but the crime occurred before he left home. Give me mine, that has my name on it. That's me. And that's where sometimes you and I can go wrong as members in the village. We get to thinking in terms of that meism practice. It's all about me. It's all about what's mine. Okay, so if God gave us what we actually, if God gave you your mansion here on earth, if God gave you your crown right now today, if God gave you your long white robe right now, what would you do with it? What would you do with it? It said in a few days, it wasn't long before he took a journey into a far country. And I would caution all of us about using that term far country, because for some of us, the far country is no farther away than our bathroom or bedroom. Far country. So he journeyed into a far country, but here's the problem. And there he wasted. And there he what? There he wasted what was his with lost living. With what? Some Bibles say riotous living. I like to insert the word lost living, because the lost living matched the lost person. The lost living matched what? And that was the problem. And that in itself was the problem. Sometimes we fantasize. I know I do. If I won the lottery, all the people I could bless, but first let me get mine. Let me get mine taken care of. But all the people I could bless, and then you have, you just, I can do this, and then you stop like, Oh, no, I got to change my number because I don't want that one calling me, and I don't want, oh, no, I know that. I know what they, and before you know it, you're frustrated over nothing. Over nothing. Here was a young man who focused on himself. I want what's mine. In other words, I'm detaching myself. I'm detaching myself from the connection with my Father to do what's mine with what's mine. And I got to get far enough away from my Father to have the freedom to do it. And so he went into a far, far, far away country and lost it all. And what? But he didn't lose it because it fell out of his pocket. He willingly invested in lost things. He willingly threw himself into lost living. Y'all with me? So then it goes on to say that a famine came, and with no money, because it was all gone after a season, and no friends, he had to find a way of making a living. Now the thing about this story is that we have this sense that this story was being told to Jews, and so they have their own culture or custom or tradition, and one of those laws was that of having what we call kosher food. And one of the kosher foods or part of that lifestyle was you don't eat pig. But he had to get a job feeding what you can't even eat. Yeah, he had to get a job feeding what you can't even eat. And says while he was slopping with the hogs, and I don't mean slopping, I mean it's kind of like saying he was lusting. I can't eat the hog, but I'm lusting after what the hog is eating. In my childhood, both my parents have experienced living on farms. Both my parents. My mother's parents had it was the way of life. It wasn't because they were farmers. That's how you survived. You had pig, you had a lamb, you had chickens. And I remember in my childhood going to help Grandma by gathering the eggs, but I didn't know any better. And I filled up my little basket with eggs, but they were called wooden eggs to inspire the chickens to lay eggs. I thought they were real. I didn't know the difference. But the thing about learning and knowing something, it wasn't until I went away to college that I began to know what's the difference in a hog and a pig. And there is a difference. Y'all know the difference? Huh? Y'all know the difference between a hog and a pig? One's bigger. One's older. The pig is the baby. The pig grows up to be a hog. And that's the only difference. Yeah, that's it. That's it. A pig grows up to be a hog. And if you leave that hog to run wild, it will become undomesticated. Our pigs don't have horns, schnauzers, and don't have fur. They don't look like wild boars because they've been domesticated. But if you left them to run wild, they'd look like a wild boar. So I learned that lesson while I was in college going home with my roommate. So in sharing that, here is this young man who can't eat the hog, but his job was to feed the hog. I went home and my roommate, as with my parents, they had hogs. And so this was my first time going out to the hog pen. And believe me, I didn't desire any of that food. because they eat where they go to the bathroom. Yeah. Now, can you imagine how far you've gone away to want to eat what the hogs were getting? The slop. Can somebody say more slop, please? More slop, please. I'll have seconds. But it says he wanted it, but no one offered him any. And then he came to himself. And then he came to himself. What's the code word for tonight? Restoration. One of our statements here at Second Baptist that we illuminate and we share is that we are a reaching and a restoring family of God. We are what? There you go. You said it the way we say it. And so he came to himself and he said, how many hired servants of my father have bread enough to spare? And this don't make no sense. I'm out here starving. That's what he said. Then he reasoned. He said, I will go back home. I will say to my father, I have sinned before God and before you. I've lost my entitlement to be a son. I know that. But at least let me live as one of your hired hands. It dawned on me that the young man had lost everything, including who he was. He had lost everything, including who he was. Now, according to what I shared with you and what you read, so when he comes to himself and he says, I will rise and I'll go back to my pop, and I'll confess what I've done wrong, is he lost? Or once he came to himself, he's now found? Y'all tell me. You think he's found? Those of you think he's found at that point. In other words, a light went on. Raise your hand if you think he's found. Put him down. You're wrong. He's still lost. He still don't know who he is. He know where he came from. No. He lost who he was. How did he lose it? How did he lose who he was? He lost it. The scriptures say he lost it to the lifestyle. Okay, well, he's saying, I ain't going to live that lifestyle no more. Is he still lost? Wait, you flip-flop. Hold on. When he left home, was he lost? Yes. He said, give me what is. In other words, I have separated myself from you, and I can't wait for you to what? So I'm on my own. I'm on my own. And once I've gotten what is mine, I'm going to do what I want to do with it. And he lost it. He lost his inheritance to lost living. And he said, you know what? I done messed up. And I don't have to live like this. I know that me and Pop, the relationship, that's gone. That's gone. But at least I can go home and live under his kingdom order. Not as a son, but as a what? A hired hand, which tells you he didn't know who he was. Okay, now think about it. Think about your own child. Your own child. Your child done something they shouldn't have done. I mean, they've done something they shouldn't have done. I mean, they shouldn't. It's a form of lostness. Maybe they cussed you out. Maybe they beat you up. Maybe they stole something that was, irreplaceable. But they felt they were entitled to it. Don't know if because they were on drugs or they just felt that, this is mine. Y'all know how we do. If you don't wait till somebody die. I'll tell you ahead of time, lock the house. Because relatives will come, Auntie always wanted me to have this. And won't tell you till they took it home. Because they feel entitled to it. Well, he felt entitled to some things of Pop's, and he wasn't waiting for the funeral. He wasted it with lost living. Say lost living. He wasted it with lost living. That's what verse 13 says. He wasted it with lost living. And now he wants to come home. And now he wants to come home. But he still don't know who he is. All he knows is what he's done. He says, I know that what I done was wrong. I know that. I know what I done is wrong. But I don't have to live the way I'm living now. I don't have to what? No, y'all didn't hear me because I'm gonna make it personal. I know this ain't exactly how God wants me to live. But at least it ain't what I used to do. I know this is not exactly how God planned for my life to be. And I know that what I did, yeah, it was wrong. But it's still better. It's still better to at least go to church even though I'm not right. I'm not right. I'm not right yet. I'm not right yet. But at least if I go to church, that environment, the fellowship, the love, the sharing, I won't have to eat slop no more. Because the church is a place of family. Now, I know that they're not going to be too happy with me coming back. After all, I did split the congregation. After all, I did take the tithes, and I know they were trying to buy a bus, but I went to Vegas with the money. I know, but what I did is wrong, and I own up to what I did is wrong. I just want to be in your presence, Anna. I just want to, the way you sing, I just need that warmth again. But do I know who I am? All I know is what? What I've what? And I've allowed what I've done to tell me who I am. I allowed what I've done. And Satan always wants to remind you, you are what you did. And forget about who you were created to be. You're done. Your history. Every time folks see you, they will see you for what you done. They're going to judge you from the outside. So he's coming home, but he's still coming home lost. He's coming home confessing. He's coming home sorrowful. In other words, he regrets what he did. But he doesn't know who he is. Y'all with me? So now we have the reunion or Pops in the picture. Verse 20, he arose, goes to his father, but when he was a great distance away from home, his father saw him. He's not in the church. He's not outside the church. He's yet a distance away, but he's headed to the church, which is a reverse from the last time his dad saw him. The last time the father saw him, he saw his behind. Now he sees him face to face. And what does the father do? He had what? Compassion. Can y'all say compassion? And the compassion caused the father not to walk, but to run and fall at his neck and kiss him. Compassion on the father's part caused him to see beyond the stink of the lifestyle that had been left on his son. Look past the lost clothing that he's wearing. Look past, before the boy can even say daddy, look past remembering how you broke me when you left. When he sees him, he runs and he holds him. Some years ago, and many of you know the story of Lizzie and I and her parents, and how Lizzie had done something that she thought she couldn't tell her father. And on one occasion, just before Christmas, it was just her and I. And I held her. But I wouldn't let her go. I wouldn't let her go. And I whispered in her ear, I know. That kind of compassion that says, I don't see what you've done. I see who you are. A church without restoration is a dead church. If all you see is what they've done, well, she slept with this husband, that husband, that husband. Well, he's got that person pregnant, that person pregnant, that person. Well, they've stole this money. Well, they're drunk. Well, they got AIDS. Well, they're gay. If all you see is what they've done and you don't see them for who you are, you're a valley of dry bones, or as Paul would say, an empty can just making noise. Compassion said, and look what compassion says. The boy, after his father has embraced him, hugged him, kissed him, the boy says, in his lost sense of who I am, I done wrong, Daddy. He acknowledges him as father. He doesn't say, Mr. Harold. He says, I done wrong. And I'm no longer fit to be thy son. Y'all see that in verse 21? What he's saying is, in essence, what I've done is my new name. What I've done is my identity. What I've done has canceled any connection that I have with you. What I've done told me I can never be trusted again. What I've done is said there is a gap between us. There's a wall between us. There is a sense of an unpardonable sin between us. So all I want is just to be in the family fellowship. That's all. I just want to. Can I just, if I just to be in your presence is all I want. I'm not asked. I have no rights to ask for anything except, can I just have a seat on the pew and be a part of your prayers. 22 starts with the word but. And what does but mean? Forget all what you just said. The father tells the servant, bring a robe. Put it on him. Now that idea of bring a robe and put a ring and a robe, the idea of that is that the father never lost who his son was. I said was. He never lost sight of who his son what? Now was is a past tense, right? Was is a what? The last time he saw his son, what did he see? He saw his backside. He saw his son from the backside. Are y'all with me? And when you can see your child from the backside, that means that child is dead to you. It's kind of hard, ain't it? When that child can show you their backside, that child is dead to you. And no amount of your, fussing and begging and please don't leave is going to change that. You're the one that's going to be like, why? Why? They're dead to you. That's kind of hard, ain't it? But I ain't making it up. Pop says, bring the best robe, put it on him, and put my authority back in their hands. And get them some foundation. Get them some shoes. Matter of fact, that cow that we've been saving up for a big celebration, kill it. We're going to have a party. Because I ain't looking at his backside no more. Verse 24, what did he say? Talk to me. What does he say? He was dead to me. He was dead to me. He was what? We call that tough love. But he was dead to me. But now he's alive. My job is to restore. My job is not to add another name to the name the world has already given him. My job is to remind him, boy, you was always mine. My blood is running in you. You cannot cancel family. You just got to come correct. You were dead to me, but now you live. Well, all of that was done, and they had a party going on, and his brother heard about it. And it's like, what's going on? And but I mean, the thing about the brother was this: when he was told that your brother's back, he didn't back. Yep, and your dad killed a fat cow. My prize cow. I mean, because he had thoughts that one of these days I'm going to eat that. That's mine. And it says that brother wouldn't go into the party. So Pop went out to the brother. Pop went out to the brother, and the brother had a few things on his list. He was angry. That's what verse 28 says. He was angry. Wouldn't go in. The brother had no room for restoration. Isn't it strange? The reason some folk have no room for restoration is because they haven't felt that they've been honored yet. I haven't felt that I got the title that somebody less than me got. Somebody that didn't work as hard as I did. Somebody that y'all don't know how hard I tried to do right. Pops, I never ever would have done what he did. You tell me to fetch, I run and get it. I don't even complain about it. And not once did you kill a fat cow for me. That's another level of being lost in the house. Yes, and some of us can get lost in fellowship and think of ourselves more highly than we ought to. But the pop had to remind him as well. But the brother did. He went one step. He just went one step beyond. He said, "Pop, according to my math, and as I remember it, something's wrong with your system of love and justice. Something's wrong with it. Something don't add up." Now, I've already said that you never gave me nothing. You never gave me nothing. Somehow he just overlooked that he's living in Pop's presence. But you never gave me nothing. Never got no recognition. Still waiting on a ring. This dude, this is the killer. This dude, and he tells it. This dude in verse 30, he's tattletelling. In case you don't know, the servant, told me that, the brother was out there, living, lost. But I'm going to call it like it is. He was living with prostitutes. Ain't that nothing? Now, the thing about it is this. He knew it and didn't do nothing about it. He knew it, but didn't do nothing about it. Hey, you do your thing. That's what you want to do. Just don't come back, because all this mine. Pop says, I need to remind you as my child, compassion runs in my house. Compassion lives in this church. Restoration is a must. It's a reasonable service. It's what the village does. It reaches and restores. It what? And that's what we as a village have to do. That is lost, we reach and we restore. We remind them. You were born a child of God. You weren't created to live with prostitutes. And now that you're back, here's your ring, here's your robe, here's your shoes. Get on in the choir stand. Get on in the pulpit. Join the ushers. Hold on, Pastor. Wait. We can't let that joker in the pulpit. You know what he did? You know what she did? I know who they are. I know who I am. And I know whose kingdom I serve under. Now the judge is Christ. The judge and jury is Christ. Should I overrule my commission? Should I overrule what Christ has called me to go and do, to reach and to restore the lost, to set the captives free, to bring the year of the Lord on earth, to prepare people for his coming. And you can't do that by telling them you're lost. Because what you did, you can never come back. It's not the way Christ built his kingdom. It's not the way the village should run. The village reaches and restores, and that's how they make change in the lives of others. Folk will come here lost, thinking, well, I messed up, therefore I'm no longer a witness. As long as there's breath in you, you can witness the goodness of God. Your breathing says the Lord is. Here endeth the lesson tonight. Any questions? Father, we again thank you for giving us the opportunity to reflect on the mindset of the village, reflect on our Christian duty as the family of God to reach and restore that belongs to you. Have your way with us in Jesus. Amen. God bless you. God keep you.
There's a place beyond the sky. And there's a place, my mind, where the saints abide. Oh Lord, and there's a city where the streets are paved